In love stories, there are relationships that are accepted and praised by society, but there are also forbidden loves considered immoral. Among them, the love between siblings is one of the most severely condemned. This relationship not only causes opposition from society, but also often leads to unforeseen consequences, even tragedy. In this video, we will explore a case that happened in New Zealand in 2011, a heartbreaking story about the wrong love between two siblings that led to a tragic ending. This case not only shook the small community where they lived, but also left many profound lessons about the boundaries that people should not cross. Let's begin to explore this tragic story. New Zealand, a peaceful country famous for its beautiful natural landscapes, is where the Blackwood family has lived for generations. They live in a small, quiet town called Ravenswood, where everyone knows each other, and life seems to flow smoothly. The town, with its tree-lined streets and quaint houses, is an ideal place to raise children in a friendly and peaceful atmosphere. The Blackwood family consists of Mr. Henry Blackwood and his two children, Dominic and Alla. Their life was peaceful and happy until a tragedy happened that changed everything. Dominic and Alla's mother passed away when they were very young, leaving Mr. Henry to shoulder the responsibility of raising his children alone. Mr. Henry was a devoted father, always trying to make up for the absence of their mother with his love and care. Dominic was born on June 5, 1992, the first child of the Blackwood family. From an early age, he showed himself to be an intelligent and sensitive child. Dominic was born into a happy family with a loving mother and a devoted father. He was often taught and imparted useful knowledge by his mother. Since he was 3 years old, Dominic's mother, Elizabeth Blackwood, was a kind woman and always devoted to taking care of the family. When Dominic was 2 years old, the joy in the family increased when his younger sister, Alla, was born. Since childhood, the two siblings had been very close to each other, sharing all joys and sorrows. Alla was born on September 12, 1994, the youngest daughter of the Blackwood family. From a very young age, she showed herself to be a lively and gentle child. Alla grew up in the love and care of her brother and father. Although her mother passed away when she was only 3 years old, Alla still retained many beautiful memories of her gentle mother. After their mother died, Henry Blackwood had to take on the role of both father and mother. He always tried to make up for the absence of their mother by spending a lot of time caring for and raising his two children. He often told his two children stories about their mother, about the love and sacrifice she had made for the family. Dominic and Alla spent their childhood peacefully in the town of Ravenswood. The two siblings often played together in the vast fields, explored the mysterious forests near their home, and studied together under the guidance of their father. Dominic was always a model brother, always protecting and caring for his sister. He often helped Alara with her homework, teaching her the knowledge he learned at school. Alara, although younger, was also very intelligent and eager to learn. She always admired her brother and always tried to do well in everything. Alara loved to draw and often drew pictures of her family, her mother, and the good memories she remembered. Every time Mr. Henry saw Alara's pictures, he could not help but be moved and proud of his two children. As Dominic entered his teenage years, he began to take his studies more seriously. He was always at the top of his class and was well liked by his teachers and classmates. Dominic had many dreams and ambitions, and he always tried to make them come true. He wanted to become a doctor so that he could help many people and bring joy to those around him. Alara, although 2 years younger than Dominic, was also starting to have dreams of her own. She wanted to be an artist, to be able to paint beautiful pictures and express her emotions through art. Alara was always trying to learn and develop her talent, and she had the support and encouragement of her brother and father. The relationship between Dominic and Alara was very special. Even without their mother, the two siblings always knew how to take care of and love each other. Mr. Henry often reminded his two children about the importance of family, love, and unity. He always taught Dominic and Alara how to share and help each other, and always tried to make them understand that they always had their family by their side. As Dominic entered his senior year of high school, he began to plan for his future. He wanted to go to college and pursue his dreams. Dominic worked hard to achieve his goals. He participated in many extracurricular activities and worked hard to be a proud son to his family. Alara entered her teenage years and began to face many new challenges. She had to deal with the pressure of studying, friends, and the psychological changes of adolescence. Alara often felt lonely and needed someone to share with. Dominic was always the friend and brother she could trust. He always listened and helped Alara overcome difficulties in life. When Dominic was 19 and Alara was 17, the change in feelings between the two siblings began to become obvious. Alara had long since become a beautiful young woman, attracting the attention of many people in school. She had long, silky hair, bright eyes, and a radiant smile. Dominic, from the role of a protective older brother, gradually realized that he began to have strange feelings whenever he was with his sister. These feelings were not simply brotherly love, but had become an inexplicable infatuation. One autumn afternoon, as Dominic and Alara sat together in the field talking about life and the future, Dominic could not contain his emotions and secretly kissed Alara on the cheek. He began to realize that his feelings for Alara had gone beyond the limits of brotherly love. Alara also felt a change in the way Dominic looked at her. His eyes became deeper and gentler. They began to spend more time together, sharing private stories and secret feelings. The love between the two siblings blossomed naturally, but was filled with anxiety and guilt. They understood that their relationship was wrong and unacceptable in the eyes of others. Dominic and Alara decided to keep their love a secret, only daring to express their feelings when no one was around. They often met at night under the moonlight, where their kisses and hugs became deeper and more sincere. Dominic was always fascinated by Alara's beauty and sweetness. He couldn't take his eyes off her whenever she smiled or talked. Alara also felt Dominic's care and love for her. They often wrote love letters to each other, hidden under pillows or in desk drawers. Those letters contained sincere words of love and promises of a future where they could be together without worrying about the judgmental eyes of the world. Gradually, the love between Dominic and Alara became stronger. They began to do things further beyond the boundaries of normal sibling affection. One night, when Mr. Henry was away on a business trip, Dominic and Alara decided to spend the whole night together. They cooked together, watched movies, and finally lay next to each other, sharing dreams and deep words of love. When the night grew late, they decided to go to bed together. Dominic held Alara tightly in his arms, both feeling the warmth and safety from each other. That night, their love surpassed all limits, becoming a passionate and mysterious bond. Long and deep kisses, sweet and sincere whispers, bound the two together. They shared not only their bodies, but also their souls and hearts. Alara, with her innocence and sincere love, completely trusted and entrusted her heart to Dominic. She did not regret this love, although she knew that it would bring much trouble and suffering. Dominic, although feeling guilty and worried, could not suppress his strong feelings for Alara. He vowed to protect and love her no matter what. The love between Dominic and Alara did not stop at one night, but lasted for many days after that. They took every opportunity to be together. Whenever Mr. Henry was out or on a business trip, Dominic and Alara had moments together, sharing love and passionate experiences. They cooked together, watched movies, and lay together, creating unforgettable memories. Every time she came home from school, Alara always found a way to meet Dominic in his room, where they could talk and share their deepest feelings. On weekend evenings, they walked along the deserted streets, hand in hand, feeling peaceful and happy. Every night, when the night fell and the house was quiet, Dominic and Alara would sneak to each other. They knew that between 1 and 2 a.m. was when Mr. Henry slept the most, and they could enjoy their time together without fear of being discovered. Their encounters usually took place in the bathroom, or in Alara's room. The bathroom, with its gurgling water, became the perfect place to hide the sounds of love. Every time Dominic and Alara entered, they were drawn into a private world where there was only them and their intense emotions. In AA's room, under the dim light, they exchanged kisses and sweet words of love. AA's bed became the place where they shared their dreams and plans for the future. Knowing that those fantasies could never come true, they enjoyed every moment together, aware that this love was wrong, but unable to resist the strong attraction to each other. One morning, Alara began to feel unusual signs in her body. She was often tired, nauseous in the mornings, and her period was many days late. Worried, she decided to buy a pregnancy test. The results showed two clear lines, confirming her biggest fear. Alara was pregnant. When she found out she was pregnant, Alara felt both scared and happy. The baby in her womb was the result of her intense love for Dominic. After many hours of thinking and internal struggle, Alara decided to tell Dominic about it. That night, when Dominic entered Alara's room, in the silence of the night, Alara announced to Dominic that she was pregnant and expressed her wish for them to get married so they could raise the child properly. Dominic, upon hearing this news, was stunned and felt as if his whole world was collapsing before his eyes. He knew that their love was wrong, but Alara's pregnancy took things to a whole new level of confusion and danger. Dominic could not accept the idea of marrying Alara. He knew this would not only be opposed by his family, but also condemned by society. In panic and anxiety, Dominic suggested that Alara had an abortion to end things. He felt it was the only way to protect them from unforeseen consequences. Alara, feeling betrayed and unable to believe that Dominic would reject her and her unborn child, was adamant about the abortion. She declared that she would not have an abortion and was ready to go public with her father and everyone if Dominic did not agree to marry her. The conflict between Dominic and Alara became deeper than ever. Dominic felt panicked and cornered. He knew that if the truth was exposed, the consequences would be dire, but he could not force Alara to do something she did not want to do. The situation became tense and set the stage for further tragedies. On the fateful night of August 19, 2011, Dominic asked Alara out for a night out. He pretended to want to have a relaxing evening with his sister to forget about his stress and worries. Alara did not suspect anything and agreed to go with Dominic. They drove out of town towards the quiet and deserted pine forest. When they reached the pine forest, Dominic stopped the car in a secluded spot away from the main roads and residential areas. They got out of the car and walked through the forest under the dim moonlight. Dominic acted normal and chatted happily with Alara, trying to lower her guard. When they reached a dense and deserted forest area, Dominic decided to act. He quietly approached Alara from behind, using the knife he had prepared, and attacked her. Alara was unable to react and collapsed to the ground. Dominic, in panic and guilt, continued his brutal actions to ensure that she was dead. After making sure Alara was dead, Dominic dragged her body to a densely wooded area where few people went. He dug a deep hole and buried Alara's body, trying to make it look like no one had ever been there. Dominic used a tarp to cover the body and duct tape to ensure no trace was left behind. He knew that perfect concealment was key to avoiding the police. After completing the disposal, Dominic returned home, cleaned up all traces, and tried to act normal. The next morning, Dominic began to act the role of a worried and distressed brother over his missing sister. He reported Alara's disappearance to the police and actively participated in the search along with family and friends. Dominic appeared very sad and worried, trying to cover up the crime by showing concern and efforts to find Alara. After days of searching, Alara's body was discovered in a pine forest, prompting an investigation. Alara's disappearance shocked the town of Ravenswood, and the discovery of her body left everyone in the community shocked and saddened. During the autopsy, the police discovered that Alara was pregnant. This made the case much more complicated. In order to find out the truth about the pregnancy in Alara's womb, the police decided to investigate her personal relationships more closely. During a search of Alara's room, the police found a diary that recorded everything that had happened between Alara and Dominic, from their secret encounters and incestuous relationship to Alara's pregnancy and Dominic's refusal to take responsibility. Dominic was called in for questioning by the police. Initially, Dominic pretended to know nothing about his sister's death and appeared to be devastated by the loss. He tried to maintain a straight face and insisted that he was innocent. However, when the police showed him Alara's diary and asked about the pregnancy, Dominic began to feel pressure. The police asked Dominic if he needed a DNA test on Alara's unborn child, and Dominic began to panic. Faced with incontrovertible evidence and the threat of a DNA test, Dominic broke down and confessed to his crime. He told the police the whole story, from his forbidden relationship with Alara to her pregnancy and his plan to kill her to keep the secret forever. Dominic Whitlock's trial took place in the High Court of New Zealand in December 2011. After all the evidence and testimony had been collected, the event attracted media and public attention due to the seriousness and tragedy of the case. At the trial, the prosecutor presented evidence, including Alara's diary, which recorded the entire forbidden relationship and Dominic's plan to kill. Forensic evidence of Alara's pregnancy and traces at the scene where her body was found were also presented to the court. Police testimony about the investigation, search, and discovery of Alara's body, as well as Dominic's confession after being confronted with the diary and the threat of DNA testing, further clarified the criminal nature of the case. Dominic, in despair and remorse, confessed to all his crimes in court. His defense attorney attempted to mitigate the charges by pointing to Dominic's mental instability and the stress he was under when cornered. However, the fact that Dominic had meticulously planned to kill Alara and cover up the crime could not be denied. After several days of trial and careful deliberation, the jury reached a final verdict. Dominic was convicted of premeditated murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This sentence reflected the seriousness of his crimes and was a fitting punishment for what he had done. The case has left a deep wound in the family and the community. Mr. Henry, who lost both his children in an unimaginable tragedy, has faced immense pain and loss. The local community is also shocked and saddened by the incident, and feels fear and anxiety about the breach of moral boundaries. This case is not only a family tragedy, but also a warning about the consequences of crossing moral and legal boundaries. Wrong decisions and undeniable crimes have led to a tragic end and severe punishment from the law. This story reminds us of the importance of maintaining moral values and honesty in all family and social relationships. After watching the video about this case, what do you think about taboo relationships in the family? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Thank you for accompanying us throughout this video. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos about other shocking cases.